This is Mortification of Spin, a bully pulpit from the Alliance of Confessing Evangelicals. We can continue only with your help. Visit mortificationofspin.org to make a donation or call 1-800-488-1888. After the podcast, listen for details on how you can receive a free resource.
Welcome to Mortification of Spin, Bully Pulpit, the shorter podcast of the Alliance of Confessing Evangelicals. I'm your host, Carl Truman, pastor of Cornerstone Presbyterian Church in Ambler, Pennsylvania, and professor of church history at Westminster Theological Seminary, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Amy Bird, housewife theologian from West Virginia, and Todd Pruitt, pastor of Covenant Presbyterian Church in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Welcome, guys.
Great to be here.
Going to do something different today. We're going to introduce a new game, and the game is Bully Pulpit Challenge. And what happens in this is that one of our 5 listeners writes in and issues a challenge that we have to meet during the program. And to start us off today, I'm going to read you the email we received this week. It reads as follows. Dear Carl, Todd, and Amy, can you respond to Carl Lentz's interview with Katie Couric without using the words utterly or ridiculous? Just to help our listeners here, we have linked from the website to that interview, so you can go and look and see what we're going to be critiquing here. And I think if you watch it before you listen to the podcast, you will realize we're going to be up against it. Not to use the words utterly or ridiculous in the next 10 minutes is going to take, I don't know, it's going to push us to the limits of our vocabulary.
Yeah, it may require some profanities.
Indeed. But, we can always bleep Amy out.
Sure, exactly.
She's trying to, I think, renovate her image from being described as nice by one correspondent the other week. Yeah. Anyway, for those of you who haven't seen this interview, it's an interview between Katie Couric and a leading Pentecostal pastor in New York, a man called Carl Lentz, who is the pastor of a congregation of he would not use the term denomination because they don't like the term denomination, he tells me, but I'm going to use it. He's the pastor of a congregation of a denomination that had its origins in Sydney, Australia, with the Hillsong movement. Congregation's about 6,000 strong. Carl Lentz, to look at him, represents everything we admire on this program. Leather jacket, skinny jeans, probably spends more on his haircut than I earn in a month, and talks complete gibberish. Yes. And it's that gibberish that we want to analyze today. Yeah. And again, just as a rule of thumb, if you watch anything on the television and Katie Couric gets the better of somebody in an argument, you know they are in serious trouble.
You know, Todd, it's utterly ridiculous. Yeah.
Todd,
Todd lost.
Yeah, you're out, man. Okay. Actually, we'll allow you that one.
I appreciate that.
We'll allow you that one. The irony saved you there. Anyway, Todd, your reflections on this interview.
I actually watched some of that with a few of the guys I serve with, and there's so many thoughts that come to mind. One is the obsession with image that we are seeing now with some of the megachurch pastors. Now it's self-parodying in many cases, whether it's Ed Young and his website Pastor Fashion, which reaches new heights of silliness. But the problem is that Carl Lentz doesn't think he's being silly. The tight leather, the mohawk, all of these things apparently give him a kind of street cred. My kids look at it and they laugh, they're embarrassed for him, but it certainly has an appeal. I just don't understand the appeal. But the obsession with appearance and with style is what really bothers me. And what we're talking about here is the purity of the church, the purity of the pastoral calling, and what appears to me to be a total overturning of those things. I'm utterly mystified as I watch that and wonder why there are more than 4 or 5 people that would attend.
Amy, what do you think?
Well, when I first got a look at him, I hadn't heard of this guy before, And at first I kind of thought, well, he's kind of like our Carl, but with more hair and threads of bonds.
Exactly. He dresses like.
Yeah.
No,
I would never
really,
have my chest waxed. I want.
I mean, honestly, like, I like style. I'm into fashion. I kind of looked at him, and I don't want to use the R word, but he looked like he was trying way too hard. Mm-hmm. And, real style and, real fashion, I would think anyway, if you were concerned about those things, it really isn't that hard. I don't know why you got to try so much. Right. But to the content of what he was saying, Katie right away hits him hard with the homosexuality question. What's your church's stance on homosexuality? And so he responds by saying, we have a stance on love, and everything else we have conversations. And he was like, so casually evasive there that Katie Couric asks him the brilliant question, what does that mean?
That's right.
It's what we were all thinking when he said that. And so, he's overemphasizing love here, but, love is meaningless without truth.
Right. Yeah, and so. I think what it signified, if it didn't mean this, what it signifies is a man who simply wants to ape a particular strand of the secular culture and be cool and popular doing it. That particular sentence that you quoted, Amy, stuck out in my mind as predictable but incoherent. He also contradicted himself. And at some point he says, when he's asked about Joel Osteen, he affirms Joel Osteen as a brother and then goes on to say that he and Joel Osteen both believe that Jesus can change your life. But then at the end of the interview, he says, very rarely did Jesus talk about morality. One wonders what the basis. Well, one wonders, A, if he's read the New Testament, that he can make that statement. The Sermon on the Mount would seem to contain quite a lot of moral statements. Yeah. And secondly, one wonders exactly what transformation looks like if it has no moral category to it. Is he simply talking about psychological well-being? And if he is talking about psychological well-being, why on earth does he have a disco globe in his church? Because, frankly, I would find that most disturbing and distressing.
Yeah. But, and Carl, what you bring up there is at the heart of the problem, and Amy, of course, brought it up by reading that quote that is, I'm mystified by that statement. And so what you're both addressing is, for me, what is the heart of the issue, which is Mr. Lentz and others. We've mentioned Stephen Furtick in a past broadcast, but what we have here is a kind of pastoral malpractice where a man is a pastor but seems incapable of rightly handling the Word of God, which is the one thing he has to do well.
Yeah.
And we have men leading some of the largest churches in the country who cannot handle the Word of God rightly. So, as you pointed out, Carl, a man who makes a statement, a pastor who makes a statement that Jesus had almost nothing to say about morality, is a man who clearly doesn't know his New Testament very well. And he's pastor of a church.
Yeah, it makes you ask the question, where's the line between this so-called authentic leadership and qualified leadership?
Right, right. Well, and Amy, I think you hit the nail on the head, Amy. Carl has talked about the fact that evangelicalism is an aesthetic, which is absolutely right. And what you hit on there, Amy, is an acknowledgement of that really we're not talking about biblical qualifications here. We're talking about a guy who can be authentic and real and transparent. Yeah. Those are all catchwords for the new evangelicalism.
Almost a nice kind of guy.
Right, very nice.
Yeah, your sort of guy, Amy, I would say.
Well, and see, now here's my turn to see what I think about niceness. And I think that it's really a plague in the evangelical church. I think niceness is the Eddie Haskell of evangelicalism. It's manipulating, but not really loving. It's like
that's exactly
manners without truth.
And
Right.
and again, the nicest thing, it raises the question for me, and this is perhaps another podcast, but what do you have to do in the American evangelical world, even the American Reformed evangelical world, to lose your credibility?
Right.
Mark Driscoll, this man who's been dragged down in a plagiarism controversy, he's claimed that God live streams pornographic images to his head that allow him to browbeat his congregation, shaken hands with a Unitarian heretic and welcomed him as a brother. His books still get reviewed. Books coming out of that church still get reviewed and taken seriously by good people. My question is, why on earth do we give people like Driscoll, people like Lentz, people like Furtick, why are they considered remotely credible, often by decent people? Now, that's too big a question for us to address today, but I think it speaks of the niceness that is rotting the heart of the Christian church in this country.
Yeah. We see in Jesus a man who knew how to confront false teachers in his day, knew how to confront members of his own religious community who had strayed, erred, and were leading others astray, and used very not nice language to do it. The same was true for the apostles as well. And today in America, the only real heresy is to suggest that there is heresy. The only cruelty is to call out a blind guide for being a blind guide. And so, again, this is about pastoral faithfulness versus pastoral unfaithfulness. This is about the future and the purity of the church, and for those who love the bride of Christ and want to see her preserved healthy. So we hope that we can do a part at least in these conversations by helping the few people that hear us to be discerning and to expect a little bit more out of those who would lead the flock of God. So, well, you've been listening to Mortification of Spin, Bully Pulpit. Thanks for taking the time to listen in on our conversation. And for Carl Truman and Amy Bird, this is Todd Pruitt. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you next time.
This has been a Bully Pulpit from Mortification of Spin, a podcast of the Alliance of Confessing Evangelicals. Just for listening, we'd like to give you a free resource. Visit our website, mortificationofspin.org, to find a link to the download. Mortification of Spin is a production of the Alliance of Confessing Evangelicals. Alliance ministries include Reformation21.org, Every Last Word with Philip Rycombe, and events held from Florida to Sacramento. To learn more about the Alliance, visit alliancenet.org or call 800-488-1888. We can only continue to bring you Mortification of Spin with your support. To make a donation, please visit mortificationofspin.org or call 800-488-1888. Please listen again, and don't forget your free download.